Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. All right, Be It babes. I have an incredible woman here for you today. She has done some amazing things, like worth bragging about. So I'm sure we'll get into it. But Beate Chelette is our guest today. She's an incredible strategist and has done some wonderful things in this world. So Beate, can you tell everyone who you are and what you're rocking at?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And my name is Beate Chelette. I am known as the Growth Architect, and I work with visionaries and thought leaders, help them to grow their authority and scale their impact. And what that means is that I rock the piece that a lot of people don't want to rock, which is everything is like, how do we do this? You know, the strategy, how do we build the systems, the workflows, the blueprints? How do I get from this point, you know, the red dot on the subway map that says you are here to your desired destination in a city you've never been in?
I love this so much because if you think about like kind of like running a business, like the three main pillars, right? You've got like the visionary, you've got your ops, and you've got your entrepreneur, the marketer, salesperson. So many people, the visionary part is easy, but then they're like, how? And that's where you come in. You're like, don't worry. I can help you break that down. Did you like, is that something you always knew you were going to do? Or like, is that a long journey along the way that landed you here? How did that happen?
It's interesting because I started out as a creative, and I have a photography degree. So that's really my only degree that I have. And what I found is that it was really easy for me to set up the systems and the processes, procedures. And then I became photo editor at Elle magazine. And I'm like, well, this is easy. And so I, over time, realized that the stuff that other people couldn't figure out, it just came natural to me, where I was like, oh, yeah, like as if that's a problem. All you have to do is like follow these 5 steps. And then everyone says, how did you do that? I'm like, did what? And so I realized that I have a knack for taking complex and often daunting things and breaking them down so people can understand it and then follow it and then implement it.
So I love that thank you for sharing this story, because I think a lot of times people don't often think they have a skill set but they're not recognizing that the things that come easy to them do not come easy to others. So here you were, this accomplished photographer who happened to be really good at systems, and just probably thought like everyone, this is just like normal. Like it's like what everyone can do, but really, no.
You are right. I think that is a really important thing to point out for your audience, because a lot of times we are, there's a reason behind that. So you think about it, like when we go to school, our entire education system is set up that you go in, you learn existing information. If you can retain and regurgitate existing information, you get an A. And so you keep going through that your entire life. And then your teacher says, you are an amazing writer. And my gosh, you know what you know about history is so beautiful. And I mean, you know the whole history of the world's amazing, but you're terrible in math. So sorry, but now I'm going to terrorize you for the rest of your school education life with something you don't like, you don't naturally good at, and I'm going to destroy your confidence and self-esteem that you cannot master something that's completely not innate to your skill set. So when we go into our real life, right? We're entrepreneurs, we work in organizations, we want to have a career. We have this so deeply ingrained in ourselves, Lesley, that when somebody says, gee, you really struggle with that, instead of then doing what I call pull out your unapologetic value proposition. And when somebody says that to you, what you should be doing, you should just laugh out loud. You say, oh my God, is it that obvious? Well, that's why I'm so good at X and X and X and X. And that's why I should be doing that. Because you know what? On our team, Lesley is so much better at this than I am. Let's just agree to give it to her so she can shine in that and I can shine in my own.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but like, y'all write that down, because I think when someone calls out what we already know we're not good at, because as you said, it's been ingrained in us, then we're like, oh my God, they saw it. And then we just shut down. But really it's like, oh God, oh my God, is it that bad? Here, it's probably what, because I'm so good at these things. It's like, what a great way to like highlight your strengths, and also like pat yourself on the back, where like it's nobody should, you're correct. The way that our education system is that you have to be smart in all the things. You can't be at the top, the front row of the graduation thing unless you got an A in all of the classes, which just means you're like, you know, life and no creativity. You're just memorizing all the time.
Yes, I like that you pointed out, because I think this is like the number one thing, especially for women when they're burning out, is that this relentless pursuit of perfectionism, of that somebody says, yes, I got this covered, I got this covered, but I'm not good at that. And then instead of saying like, well, you know, I got these other 9 things pretty much under control. It's just this one thing. I neither like it, nor enjoy it, nor do I feel it's really necessary for me to do. There's other people that are better at that. Instead of saying like, why terrorize myself with that? We go like, well, I must go and learn this thing that I really hate, because that's what's expected. And then I'm going to hate my life. And I am maybe gradually seeing some improvement. And then that becomes the thing. I think it's ludicrous, literally. I mean, that's why the strategy I teach in the Unapologetic value proposition, and I kid you not, is I want you to put your head back and literally do this. Oh God, thank you so much for pointing that out. Yeah, this is why I'm really good at. Can we just agree that I'll just go back to that and do that? And let's find somebody on the team who loves it, is good at it, and gets it done faster and better than I can. Thank you so much for helping on this.
Oh, I mean, like, this is something you can use, y'all, in like your own personal life. Like when you're at your home and there's people coming over and they criticize your cooking and you already like don't love cooking. You're like, I know, that's why I brought you over, because you're so good at it. You know, like you can just go, that's why you're here. Here's all the things. Let me know what you need. You know, instead of like going, oh my God, I need to get better at this. Like we can use it in all aspects of our life so that we can also celebrate what we are good at. Because if you're so focused, like, all I keep thinking as you're talking is like how bad I was in math in school. And I literally changed my degree so I didn't have to take the statistics class, because I was like, there is no way I'm going to pass this class and I'm not going to be able to graduate. So I'm just going to change degrees so I can take the general math class. Which, you know, like and it's like so like crazy now I think about it. Like I literally changed all the degrees and the goals I had in life just so I could avoid this one math class, because I was like, I'm not good at it and I have to be good at it to get this degree. So what a interesting way we can all reframe, celebrate what we're really good at, and then allow others to step into their power at the same time. It's like such a win-win for everybody.
And I like the way you said that. And I use that word a lot. It's called the reframing. And I take this one step further. And this is what another podcast host, you know, when I told him this, he called it, that's the checkmate move. So I'm going to give you one more way to use this. Okay. So when you are in a situation where somebody, possibly a man on a team, is doing the regular thing on where they try to take you out by saying something like, oh my God, you're so emotional. And is there not one woman on this planet who has not heard this absolutely moronic, stupid sentence? Well, that's a pretty emotional response you have. Why are you always so emotional? You're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to put your head back. You're going to burst out in laughing as if it is the funniest thing you have ever heard in your entire life, like almost like you pee your pants funny. And then you say, oh my God, John, good one. what I was saying, let's get back to the presentation I was in right now. And you just wipe it off the table. You give it no energy. Because what women fall for, a lot of these things are designed to make you feel stupid because you take the bait. If you don't take the bait, if you literally just laugh and ignore it and you just look at them, oh my God, John, you're an idiot. I mean, how can you even say something in the year 2023? It's like, wow, like, wow, John, right? But nice diversion attempt. But here's what we're really talking about right now, right? And then there is no coming back from something like this. So this is really a strategy I teach in my unapologetic value proposition for that reason. I see women, not just women, obviously, this happens to everybody, that it shows a perceived weakness or gives an opening to somebody who is a bully or finds it compelling to take other people down. So it happens all the time. But you got to put a poker face on and you're just going to laugh and you're just going to shake your head and you said, seriously, dude, and you just move on.
That is... So I love this. And if you're listening, I hope you wrote it down and you're also going to make time to practice it, because I think the more you kind of like just practice it in easy ways, practice it in front of a mirror, like picture yourself in that meeting with that person who's going to say these things, and just get yourself ready for it so that it feels like an old muscle. I love it. You're correct. That other podcaster, it's a checkmate move. It's also just like, what a great way to like make everyone else in the room who already feels uncomfortable because John said that, and they're looking at you at your response because they're trying to figure out how to respond. They might have that like laughter that's uncomfortable or whatever. And then they see you just like own it and slay back without actually having to make it a big deal in any other way. It just becomes a big deal for them. What a cool way to show your strength and power in your own space. And people are going to be like, oh, I want to be on that person's team because they don't fall for this crap.
And that's the key. It's a technique that they're using. You take the bait, it's on you. Mm-hmm. If you don't take the bait, it's on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. So Beate, you have had like an incredible career. You are doing this growth architecture now. Before that, though, what led you into this? Like, what was the bridge from like photographer L rocking all this scene? Like, wow, systems are easier for me than others. What was the next stage in this? Because I feel like you've had an incredible journey that allowed you to be in this place to teach us all this stuff.
Yeah, so my journey is very much like the journey of many women that I know. I mean, I just felt I didn't fit in, and it was very hard for me because I wasn't the smartest in the room. I wasn't the most sophisticated, and I just felt that none of this like standard stuff applied, right? I always felt like I was out of place, and I was always drawn to creativity. And so I became a photographer, immigrated to the United States. And then I had what I call a 13-year period of time of just absolute brutal adversity. I got pregnant. I married a man who was an alcoholic and a pathological liar. And then I'm going through a divorce. While there's a recession, I get laid off. I have to figure out how to run my own business. And I'm an immigrant. I'm a single mom now. And I have to figure out, how do I get my business together after I've never run a business before? How do I feed my child? How do I survive in a city like Los Angeles, which is a tough place to be to begin with? And so I went through fires, floods, riots, earthquakes, a lawsuit, a tsunami, September 11th. I had major life events wipe out. Pieces of my business, September 11th, wiped out my production business. In one day, I lost $500,000. And the hits just kept coming and coming and coming until at the very crowning end, my father dies. And while I'm at the funeral, my office in Los Angeles calls me and says, we've been served a notice here in Los Angeles. So now I lost the house. I didn't own the house, but I got the notice. And I have to figure out, with $135,000 in debt, how in the world am I going to pay for this funeral, figure out where am I going to move my office to on money I don't have, with business I don't have, with this huge mountain of debt. And that is when things started to turn in my favor.
Ooh. I mean, first of all, like, I feel like some of the things you mentioned, while did not lose $500,000 in one day, but like, I feel like people can take themselves back going, oh yeah, like I've been hit too. Like they can understand, like that was especially if you were running your own business, and you're a small business owner, it's hard to recover from one of those things, let alone all of those things. So what was the turning point?
So the turning point was, and I think this is a really good message to make sure that everybody who's on this podcast is hearing, is you still got to do the work. Mm-hmm. So I did write the business plan, and I did put it out there. My former mother-in-law would keep telling me to write a letter to the President of the United States. And she kept on saying, he's your president. Why don't you write a letter to the President of the United States? If anybody can help you, it's got to be the President of the United States. You don't get any higher up than that. I mean, he rules the whole country. And she just would not be quiet about it. I swear. I mean, there comes a point where it's like, I'm going to write the damn letter just so you can.
Yeah. Just so I can just say, I did it. And like, we're all thinking like, yeah, the president's going to really respond.
Right. But then when I come back from Germany, I get a letter from the White House.
Stop it.
And it says the president sends you his best wishes. No.
That's the best. That's even better than what I would imagine I could have written. Like, I love it. It's like, good luck.
And you go like, okay, clearly the president never saw this letter. I mean, let's not be deluded about that. But what it did do is that the intern that was working at the White House in the mailroom, opening these thousands of desperate letters from desperate people like me, wrote me back saying the president is delighted to hear from you and sends you his best wishes. Here is the info to the Small Business Administration in Los Angeles. And then they send a letter to the SBA. And the SBA, the Small Business Administration, is a government institution that helps small business owners, specifically with funding and education to run their businesses. And so that put me in the seat next to Lorenzo Flores, the Deputy Chief Director. So not some lower level, but the second in command at the SBA. And so I walked in with my business plan I had written and my portfolio, and I sat down and I said, I'm in trouble. And they helped me restructure my business plan. And then they found me a bank that took my $135,000 in debt and restructured that into a 10-year fixed loan. And that freed up my line of credit. That brought me to break even. That was 3 months, Lesley. This is how close it is sometimes. Between bankruptcy and break even, it was 3 months.
Wow.
And then I became 18 months later the world leader in my category. And then a Bill Gates company comes and says, how do you do that? And I said, I'm not going to tell you, because if you want it, you're going to have to buy it. And they say, how much do you want? I said, I want a couple million. They said, fine. And so that's how I ended up selling my business to Bill Gates for millions.
This is insane. There's so much. What I love here is, I mean, like, crazy ex-mother-in-law, brilliant in some ways. It's always like, what? I'm okay. I guess I'm going to write that. But like, nothing happened. Like, that happened for you, and like, it got you this really great meeting. But so many people would have quit at that. I'm in debt. It's over. I'm not good enough for this. And they would just quit. And instead you're like, I'm going to try this next thing. I'm going to try this next thing. And that perseverance and that consistency, and then you owning your worth. Like, people always ask, how do you do this? And it's like, you have to pay for it. Like, and people hate that, but it's like coaching, right? Like, if you want to be coached by myself, or I'm sure with what you do, it's like, you want to know how we do it, you have to pay for it. One, why? A, because I worked my ass off to know all this stuff and I want to share with you. B, there is something that is more valued when it is paid attention to in some sort of currency. So I think that's really cool. In 3 months from that debt to break even, and also by restructuring that loan, it probably freed up your brain to think about the possibilities rather than like the current circumstances.
Yes, and what really factors into it? So you alluded to like one of the important questions here is like, why not give up? At that point, you would say, okay, I mean, $135,000. The woman's been through enough. Nobody would have even blinked the eye and said, yeah, no, sorry, you had to go through all of that. That's just too much for anybody to carry. But I had a mantra, and my mantra was literally, I couldn't fathom that after all of this, the joke was going to be on me. Like I couldn't formulate that thought. That just made no sense. There was no logic behind that. And the second thing is I will not drown in a puddle. Mm. Is this big enough to fail?
I will not drown in a puddle. I mean, it makes me want, like, y'all, if you're listening, like, as you're listening, it's like, think of the times that you've kind of even let a puddle start to take you down. You know, we sometimes, like, it's like, makes me think, like, don't sweat the small stuff. Do you know what like, that's like, because it's like, we trying to make things that they seem really big, but if you can get a step back and you can, like, look at the whole picture, it's like, actually, it's like this big. It's this big and all of that. That is incredibly, an incredible strength that you were able to do that. And also that you already had that mantra going into it, I think really helped you and like benefits us for listening to this.
Yes. And, you know, I know that people that are listening to your show, by the way, if you're listening, make sure that you go and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get it and leave Lesley a 5-star review and even a comment. Because that helps with the ranking, that helps to reach more people, and take like one thing that you've learned in this or any other episode and share that, and maybe share that podcast with one other person. Having said that, you know, it is really critical that you recognize that when you go out there and you have hardship and you are overcoming and you're trying to be, you know, getting from overwhelmed to awesome, you know, that's what I wrote my book about, Happy Woman, Happy World, is that you give yourself a time limit on when you are allowed to drown yourself in sorrow. But I was very diligent. I worried about money twice a month when I had to pay bills. And then I literally shut it down because I could not be a mom, a single parent, raise my kid, try to, you know, get business with that in my head all the time. Yeah. So the drowning in a puddle is also the backbone, not the wishbone, the backbone that you must build to say, obviously, there's something larger at work. And you will relate to this. I always believe that people that I work with have been activated. Mm-hmm. Only somebody who's been activated even knows what that means. And the activation isn't presented to you on a velvet cushion.
No, I feel like you get activated because you went through the hardship and you kept going, you know. You kept going and you can realize, you can go, wow, look what I were able to do, you know. Brilliant.
Yeah, so if you are going through hardship, congratulations. Because that means you've been activated. Mm-hmm. And that means that you are now creating the story that you're here to tell. And the experience you're here to share and the overcoming you might be teaching.
Yeah. I called up like a business mentor of mine over the holiday, and I was telling him what I was going through, and his response was, and I was like distraught, right? And his response was, congratulations, you've made it. And I started laughing. I was like, that's what help you're going to give me? That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the answer. And he's like, he gave me a couple questions, and I was like, and of course, when we hung up, I was like, that's exactly what I needed. But it's so funny in the moment when you're just like, you're like feeling it, and you're like, I just want someone to say it's going to be okay. And they're like, they just laugh a little bit at you because it's like, welcome to the party of working for yourself. And you get to go through this so that you can actually come out the other side with this experience of how you're going to handle these kinds of situations and have this muscle And I think we all want the hardship to not be there. And if you're a parent, you definitely don't want your kids to have any hardship. And the problem with that is you don't get activated, you don't get these muscles, and you don't get this confidence that you can go through these things. If you had not gone through what you're going through, I can't imagine you would have had this muscle to look at someone coming from a Bill Gates company and saying, you can have it if you pay for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that confidence and that response comes from someone who like worked through all the stuff and like realizes what they're sitting on.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And if I were to tell you that that at the time that it would take 13 years of brutal hardship to then become a multimillionaire, and I would, let's say we ask your audience and say, do you think 13 years of hardship is okay to not ever having to worry about for the rest of your life about money? Do you think that would be okay? And then everybody would say, yeah, man, I'll take that. I'll do 13 years. If that means that I never have to worry about money again, of course I will. But when you're in it, you don't know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes me think, I love that. That makes me think of like, Michelle Obama mentioned like, because they've been married for like so many decades. And she said, yeah, we had like 9 hard years. And there's somebody like nailed on that. And she's like, if you could be promised that you'll have 30 plus years of marriage and 9 of them will be a little bit hard, like, wouldn't you take that bet? Like, you know what I mean? I think we tend to just focus only on this, like, this is where we're at right now, as opposed to like really going in the big picture. If I could know that I'm going to like not have to worry about that ever again, have everything I want, would I definitely take the bet of 13 hardship years? Heck yeah, because your lifetime is so much longer. So much longer. All right, Beate, where do you like to hang out? Where can people get to hear more of your amazing words?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're undergoing, some of the stuff we talked about, get the book, Happy Woman, Happy World. You'll find it on Amazon, available as an audiobook, as an ebook, and as an actual printed book. Reach out to me. I'm all over social media, either as the Growth Architect or Beate Chelette. I like to hear from the audience. I like to hear what you're taking away, because that is our lifeblood. That's our thanks. That's how we keep going. If you heard something and you said, I need to speak to this woman, I need a strategy from her, just reach out, go to my website, beatechelette.com, fill out the uncovery session, or just contact me, and I'll be happy to see how I can help you.
I love that. All right. So before I let you go, you've already given us so many like gems that we need to keep with us, but any bold, executable, intrinsic, targeted action steps people can use to be it till they see it.
Yes. You are from here on now prohibited to take failure personal. I want you to look at failure as a nice gentleman in a construction outfit with a neon stripe on it that stands there with a stop sign, says the road that you want to take is a cul-de-sac and you're not going to be able to get through. So you are not going out of the car. You're not throwing yourself on the ground. You're not throwing a temper tantrum that somebody's not going to let you get where you want to go. You're just going to go and thank him. You turn around and you find another way. That's how you will be looking at failure from here on out.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I can't wait for Brad to listen to this. He'll listen and we'll do a recap episode. We'll talk about it, because like now I can just say, oh goodness, the construction man's here. We're in a cul-de-sac. Let's turn around. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you have that lingo, y'all, I promise you, if you haven't started having lingo like that, when you have lingo like that, it really does help you snap out of these like, woe is me moments that we that we all tend to want to have, but they don't get us anywhere. They're not going to get you through the cul-de-sac.
No, it's like, what's the language going to do? I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I took this road. Now it's a cul-de-sac. I'll never get out of here. I'll never find another way. I'll never drive my car again. I'll never leave my house again because I'm such a failure that I've found this cul-de-sac. Doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, no. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And it's so good to hear it when you're not in it, because you can actually hear how like silly that sounds. And so then when you go through it, you're like, I'm being a little ridiculous right now. Thank you, Mr. Construction Person with your neon sign. I appreciate the waving of the flags. Turn around. Oh my gosh, Beate, thank you so much for all your awesomeness and what you're doing in this world for people. It's so wonderful. Y'all, how are you going to use these tips in your life? Tag Beate, tag the Beit Pod. We want to know. Share this with a friend, and especially share it with your lady friends, because if we can all start laughing, especially at people who are trying to tear us down and like brush it off so we put it back on them, the world is going to be a much better place. So Beate, thank you for that. And until next time, everyone, be it till you see it. That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Kroll. Our associate producer is Amanda Frattarelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mandal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer, Jay Perdoso, for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally, to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.